Hello and welcome to Bible FPL, a UCL Fantasy edition. I'm going to do a brief review of Game Week 6. There isn't really much for review. Looking ahead to Match Day 7, because the team is slightly in the mud in terms of points and rankings, we're now down to 3 mil in the world. We're going to spice it up today with how we pick the team, which we'll come on to shortly. Briefly of Match Day 6, so essentially we missed the deadline, so I missed out on the couple of transfers I was planning, which was Kane. It didn't actually backfire too badly. I think the players I was planning to bring in blanked. The biggest issue was I hadn't selected a full team of players that were playing on the first match day, so I lost some points on the bench from some of those. But there wasn't loads and loads of points knocking around on the match day. Haaland captaincy was nice. At least we got a return there. Rashford return, Caicedo return, Hincapié clean sheet was about all we had to report. And now, if you're sort of regular to this series, I always do a short Bible talk as part of these fancy videos and Premier League fancy videos to bring a bit sort of deeper meaning to some of this content as a Christian myself. So I'm going to do a very brief, short talk, and then we'll crack into why probably a lot of you have clicked on the thumbnail after that. So we're going to go with the return time that Marcus Rashford, well, not return times if he got an assist. He didn't score, he got an assist, which counts. A return is a return. He assisted Koundé in the 50th minute. Now, Marcus Rashford is our Book of Mark representative. So we're going to turn to the Book of Mark. There isn't a chapter 50, so we're going to go to chapter 5 in relation to goal time. And essentially, it's a passage about how Jesus raised a girl from the dead, Jairus' daughter, to be precise. And he also healed a sick lady who had a blood condition. And she had enough faith to basically reach out and touch Jesus' garment. And in that moment, she was healed. And there's so many stories of healing throughout the New Testament when Jesus comes. There's a few instances of people raised from the dead, such as in this chapter here, such as Lazarus, and also Jesus himself is obviously the greatest example. And some of you watching this, in fact, probably a lot of you watching this, maybe if you don't have a faith background, might be thinking, I just don't believe it, James. Like I read some of these Bible stories, I hear about some of these Bible stories, and I just think it's all a load of rubbish. It's made up. There's some fabrications here. Some of you might think something supernatural happened, but can't quite put your finger on why. Others, you might be watching this and thinking, yeah, I do believe that there are miracles that happen in life. And yeah, my encouragement to you is miracles still happen today. There's actually loads and loads of examples out there of healings that still happen today. There were hundreds of examples in the Bible at this time, but today in life, in day-to-day life, it's still happening. And I'm a testament to that because I've been part of church life for years and years now. I've been to many festivals where loads of people are prayed for to be healed, and there's been hundreds of miraculous healings I've witnessed. A chap who was in a wheelchair next to me in one service, he went up the front, got completely healed. There's been many reports where people have gone, look, I've gone to doctors after this healing, and I've said to them, look, I've no longer got this issue, and the doctors have said we simply can't explain how this has happened. We're just going to have to put it down to medical miracle. And I've seen so many of these over the years, and I've also prayed for someone myself that I've seen healed, and like I've no doubt God's real. I've no doubt He still heals today. You just have to, I suppose, I want to encourage you to not be overly cynical with these things. Like you could have grown up your whole life a narrative of like this is just a load of rubbish, and you need to have at least an open mind to think, well, if God is real, then of course healings could happen. And if they are happening and God is real, then hang on a minute, that changes everything. I need to sort of take this seriously, this God seriously that the Bible talks about. And just yeah, I'll put in the description a link to a healing story. There's loads of these online, but this is one. This is one of the festivals I go to, and yeah, this chap's just got a really short. It's like what 2 minute 40 healing testimony. Yeah, like I said, I'll put the link in my description on this video. Yeah, basically, this chap was miraculously healed from something. All his friends couldn't believe what had happened, and it's just yeah, it's just really encouraging to hear these sort of things like are happening today, and God can do it for you as well if you're struggling with something. Like if you ask Him, it's not to say He always heals. Sometimes He does, sometimes He doesn't. And there's a mystery sometimes behind when He does and doesn't. But for those that put their faith in Jesus, we know that all things work together for good for those who love Him, and even the times He doesn't heal us, He uses those ailments for greater good. And one day in eternity, the Bible promises we're all going to be free from suffering, so it's all going to be okay for those that put our faith in Jesus. So yeah, that's the short talk. That's the encouragement. Do check out the link in the description for yeah, an example of an amazing healing story. In terms of the fantasy team this week, we've looked at how the rank is mudded, which is why we're going to do a foot draft inspired pick. In the thumbnail, the picture I used was me when I was about 16. Not sure if I look much different other than the beard. May have had the beard in the thumbnail. Who knows? I can't remember. Either way, yeah, I just thought let's just do something more interesting. sometimes these videos that out there online I find more interesting to watch when it's like a sort of randomness involved with team selections. We've got a bit of a wheel spinner coming up later as well. I'll try and keep it short and sweet, but essentially I ended up having to make 3 foot drafts on FC26. Um, which basically, you get a different pick for each player in each position, random pick of 5 each time, and you basically select your whole squad using those random player picks. So I did 3 drafts to basically have enough picks to fill out our Champions League team. Most of those positions I've locked in. So one of which was Mark Flecken for Leverkusen. So he's going to be our goalkeeper. We didn't get many goalkeeper options on the draft, but he was one that he plays in the Champions League, and he's got a fixture, obviously in this match day. We've also got Kunde. So Kunde was one of the defensive picks that I got given. So I thought that was a decent one for Bar, so we take him. He's in the team. Foyth for Villarreal was an interesting one. I was like, okay, there wasn't, again, like I said, particularly with some of these defensive players and goalkeepers, I had to take what I could get. And then Foyth was one that popped up on a pick for Villarreal. He's got a reasonable fixture this week, so I thought, yeah, that's a fun one to go for. So we've got Foyth in the team. We've got Cucurella as well, so he's got a decent fixture for Chelsea, and his name's Mark, so he can inspire another Bible passage, which is always useful on this series. As we call him, Cold Palmer popped up, which is lovely. He's great for inspiring Bible passages, and also is a great asset. He's got a great fixture this week. If he plays the game, could do really well for us. So that was I was quite pleased to get him pop up. Elise popped up, another nice one. Great player, decent fixture this week for Bayern. He's straight in the team. Saka, I was pleased he popped up. He's a bit of a Bible FPL legend, strong Christian faith. He's been perfect for these series, and he was benched against Forest in the Premier League. So I was like, well, he's going to start against Inter surely. So he's straight in the team. And then there was a few strikers I've locked in already. So Aubameyang for Marseille. This chap that I can't pronounce his name, who I think plays for Napoli, and Luis Diaz for Bayern Munich, all have reasonable fixtures. And yeah, it was basically the only 3 like pickable strikers I was actually given on the game. So as it stands, those sort of locked in picks, if you like, leave us with this on the Champions League fantasy team. That leaves us a few positions that I'm going to decide by a wheel spin. So there was a few other picks that came up that I was like, let's leave this up to some kind of chance to make it more interesting. So we had Oblak and we had Pope as 2 alternative goalie picks. We'll do a wheel spin to decide between those 2. In fact, while we're on it, let's just do it now. So who are we going to get in the team out of Oblak and Pope? So these guys play on the Wednesday. Oblak's going to be the one. There we go. So we'll slap in Jan Oblak into the team. So with this fantasy football game, you want to ideally have a goalie that plays on the Tuesday and then another goalie that plays on the Wednesday, because you can automatically sub out the one that played on the Tuesday if they've done badly to have a second shot on the Wednesday. And it's the same with the rest of the players in your team. You get a bench of, I think, 3 outfield players, 1 keeper to do that with. So Oblak will be our sort of backup option if Flecken fails. In terms of the 2 other defensive picks we need to decide on, so we've got Mendes for PSG. Schottelbeck, if that's how you say his name, for Dortmund. And we also were offered on the draft Otamendi. He's going to be an option. Enrico Lewis, if he starts, he's got a lovely fixture for City. So yeah, we'll wait and see who we get on the spinner. So yeah, we'll do the defender one now. So we need 2 defenders to fill out the team. So we're going to have 2 of these 4. The first one we're going to have in the team is just about Otamendi. So we'll pop Otamendi in a minute. He's been a Sky fancy legend for me for years. There used to be passing bonuses and things on that. Oh, nice one, Enrico Lewis. He was one I actually wanted to have in the team, to be fair, providing he starts. So yeah, we'll take that. That's a nice one. So we've got Otamendi, an absolute legend for me over the years, and Enrico Lewis, also a Christian lad, by the way, so perfect for this series. And I think his middle name's David or something, so we could use a David inspired book if he gets a return in that game, which we love. And then in terms of the midfielders, so I've given it away there a little bit, but there'll be midfield or other options that I could have gone for in midfield were Rafinha, Perisic, Yilmaz of Galatasaray, Adeyemi of Dortmund, Eze of Arsenal, Cherki of City, and then Soboslai of Liverpool, and also Vitinha of PSG. So we need 2 of those. We've popped them into the wheel spin. Again, yeah, let's see who we end up with in the team. Cherki, again, that was one I was actually really hoping to get, to be honest, because he was benched against United. They've got a lovely fixture against Bode Glimt. So yeah, I'm delighted with that. That was a player I was hoping would come out. And then we got one more pick. Who's going to complete the team? it is going to be Vitinha. Interestingly, I only just about put him in last minute as an option. So yeah, funny he's come up. And actually, in terms of his points in this particular fancy game, he scored so many points on Champions League fantasy football. So that could end up really well for us. So we'll review the transfers. We've got a limitless chip active, so this won't cost us any points. And we have to play either this week or next game week, I think. So we're going to lock those transfers in. I'm quite pleased with that because a lot of those players that just came out also play on the Tuesday, which means I can sort of roll the dice on some of those. And we already had quite a few options for the Wednesday to come in if we need them. So let's see how the starting team looks. If we go on date, we'll just pop in a bunch of players that play on the Tuesday, not make the same mistake again like we did last time. I think I mentioned that yeah, it's a 3:30 deadline again this week, so do get your teams locked in early enough. And then yeah, so these players that are on the bench we can just bring in if we need them on the Wednesday if the points do terribly from certain individuals. If all the players that have played on the Tuesday smash it, then we might just leave the team as it is. And in terms of captaincy, again, let's do a cheeky little wheel spin just to decide captaincy. So in terms of the fixtures, I think like I mentioned, like City have a great fixture against Bode. So I think Cherky we could maybe pop on the wheel as a potential captaincy option. Let's put Saka on there because he's, their talisman on pens. He's probably starting. Should we put Vitinha in there? Sporting, good fixture. He seems to be quite a good one for points. And then, yeah, why not? Should we just do Foyth for Villarreal on the wheel? And if he comes out, yeah, let's see how he gets on. So in terms of the wheel spin for the final thing for this video, Cherky. Was it Saka? It was Vitinha, and it was Foyth. So this is for captaincy. Who's going to get the nod? Here we go. I'm kind of hoping it's Foyth. It actually is. Brilliant. Fantastic. That'll be. Imagine if Foyth just nuts in a power header and gets a load of ball recoveries and man of the match and stuff. Like that'll be scenes. That's why you do these sort of like mini fun different ways of doing things because yeah, when it goes well, don't know. Foyth could end up on the wall, couldn't he, as a memory to tell the grandkids. So there you go. There's the team. I'm actually really pleased with how it's worked out. Obviously, on the next video, I'll review how it's got on. I will do a Premier League fancy video though before all of that. Hopefully, it will come out for you on Wednesday, and that's my plan, providing I'm not too exhausted Tuesday evening. But yeah, I'd suggest if you want real tips on Champions League fantasy football, they like tune in some of these other content creators like Dylan, who know a lot more than I do. What I would do is I'd say to you that this week you want at least one Chelsea player for that fixture. Barca are really trying to get into the top eight and they're struggling a bit. So you want a Barca player. I think Rafinha had a slight knock and is a doubt. But I think they were holding him to sort of hope he could play the game and be fit for it. So he could be a punt or someone for Barca. So I think you want at least a Barca player, at least a Chelsea player. I think a Bayern Munich player at home to Union looks good. I think a Newcastle man at home to PSV could be good, although FPL Nightmare is telling you that they're all a bit knackered at the moment. So maybe Newcastle aren't players that are essential right now. Madrid at home to Monaco looks nice, to be fair. I think that's all right. Foyth at home to Villarreal is a top pick from me. Paris Saint-Germain, I think you want one of them, don't you, against Sporting for some coverage. And then I think you need two City against Bode. It's just predicting who's going to play. And I think there's still doubts over Mamouche if he's like up for it. So I'd say I think Cherky is actually a really nice punt this week. Like I said, I'm pleased I got him because he was benched against United, and surely he gets a game. Like he's not going to keep getting benched; he's too good for that. So I reckon Cherky gets this, and yeah, may even not be a bad captaincy shout for the Tuesday. Roll the dice on him, and then you've got a backup plan potentially on the Wednesday, and the likes of a Palmer or a Barca player or something like that, or even a Bayern lad like Kane. That could be reliable, couldn't it? Assuming he's going to play the match. So yeah, there's my sort of 2 pence worth in terms of the fixtures and what sort of things I'd think about. Here's how the team is gonna be. Just finally, as I end the video, yeah, come on Foyth. I want to see some comments in the description. If Foyth nuts in a header and there's absolute scenes, yeah, I want to see some reactions either on my Twitter or on my YouTube. For those of you that have very kindly tuned into this and have lasted it through to the end. So for now, yeah, I'll leave it there. Like I said, I'll have a Premier League fancy video up soon, which I think most of my subscribers are here for. But for now, yeah, we'll leave the Champo League one there, and I look forward to catching you guys on the next one.